You not only America, UK. We got another story. We're gonna watch this together. This is also by Jay Charles. We're gonna watch this together, me
Okay.
and Ruby. So let's go watch this video. We're gonna discuss as we talk about this video. So shout out to him. Our last story of the day. So remember to like and subscribe. You've been hearing this song. You might as well like and subscribe. Share it. Tell them we had a really good time. So let's get started on this. New heirs of slavery group launched in the UK.
Oh, okay.
We're going to begin this hour with a story that you'll see only on CBS Mornings, and we love when that happens. It's an effort to uncover one of the darkest and most troubling secrets of Britain's upper class. King Charles has approved an inquiry into the royal family's ties to slavery, a history he has been pressured to apologize for. Holly Williams spoke with one of the king's cousins, leading a separate effort to show how other prominent families were connected to the slave trade.
All right, we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but I love how I did her voice. That's amazing. That's how her voice should be. They should edit her voice like this the entire time.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yes,
that's
it's
what I got at the
great.
beginning. But let's talk about the racist royal family, like we knew. But it's a, by the way, y'all gonna find out a lot in this story. I just want y'all to know.
She joins us now from Buckingham Palace. Holly, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. There are several British families leading this campaign, shining a light on this country's deep involvement in slavery. But one family with historical connections to slavery that is not taking part is the family that lives here, inside Buckingham Palace. So this is 18th century.
Of course they are.
This is 18th century. The house is 18th
The
century.
Earl of Harewood is a British aristocrat, and Harewood House is his ancestral home, now open to the public. It makes Downton Abbey look like a shack. But it was all built with the profits of slavery. How do you feel about this being part of your family history?
I'm ashamed that people behaved in that way and that my ancestors behaved in that way. We're accountable for that legacy today. All portraits of various ancestors.
The Earl's forebears enriched themselves with sugar plantations in Jamaica and Barbados in which enslaved Africans toiled. When Britain finally outlawed slavery in its colonies in 1834, like other slave owners, they were compensated by the government.
By the way, notice that year, a lot of people try to tell you a lie in America. Notice that year he said when it was outlawed, and then go look up your American history. Just throwing it out there. People like to lie and say we was the first. Just look it up.
$3 million in today's money. And the slaves themselves who had been freed, were they compensated?
The slaves who were freed received nothing. And what you can see down there...
Now the Earls behind the campaign calling for other families that benefited from slavery to come clean and use their wealth to benefit the descendants of those who were trafficked. He calls it reparative justice.
It's something that people have been very much in denial about, swept under the carpet, pretended it hadn't happened.
Why?
Guilt, shame. It's very difficult to put a finger on. I don't understand it.
That's an interesting concept. Rich families who made profit off slavery, giving money back, or acknowledging it and trying to help the families of the descendants of that is a very interesting idea. Ruby, how you feel about that idea?
I think it works out to being the exact same issue that people speak about now. How are you going to, at this point, trace that back and prove which families did profit and which ones did not?
Elon Musk.
Well, no, I would suggest that ultimately every family that was there at that time, whether because people say, well, my family was poor. Yeah, but were they rich at any time in that 400 years? Because if they were and they utilized slavery at some point, then to me they're still liable, right? So I don't think that that's necessarily the solution. It just, I don't know. I feel like it's going to miss too much, and that's why I think you just overall make the whole country accountable. That's the only way to really do it.
It's an interesting concept. I wondered, I brought up Elon Musk because if y'all know, he got the diamond mines over there in Africa, which he's from. He's like, I'm a African American. I'm like, you got diamond mines. That's the only reason you was over there. You and your father and
Mm.
12-year-olds out here digging diamonds and like, oh, I got it out the mud. I'm like, no, you didn't. A small loan of $1 million. Shout out to Donald Trump. All right,
Mm-hmm.
let's continue.
The dehumanization, you can't compensate for that, but we can all work together toward doing what we can. So, you know, we may not see
Joe
their
Williams
everyday
is a
lives
descendant
as
of
being
British-owned
connected to
slaves in
Africans.
Jamaica.
And
He
American
now
music
leads
has really
historical tours
taken
exposing
off
how this country
in Britain
profited
the
from
19th
slavery.
century. But many mansions were built from this profit.
From slavery?
Yes.
British slave traders trafficked nearly 3.5 million Africans to the Americas.
I can say hand on heart that there are legacies of transatlantic trade which hold me and many people back from being seen as, in some cases, as human beings.
When you talk to some British people, they talk as if slavery is something that happened in America, not here.
I do want to point out that they do like to do that. I noticed some, and I'm like, your country is very racist. Italy, Italians, I want y'all to know, y'all are very racist over there. Shout out to, like, for most people I've seen, I haven't been there, but a lot of my friends who've been overseas told me Germany is the nicest place. You're like, cause they like admit they messed up during all the world wars, so they're like, yo, we're gonna be real nice to everyone. While other countries like, we are above this. That's an American problem. While in soccer games throwing bananas at black people. It happened. You can look it up.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, basically, again, overt versus covert racism, depending on what you prefer. I think a lot of people would prefer overt, right, in your face. Let me know where you stand. It actually can be very insidious to have to deal with this covert racism that, you know, most of the world has to deal with, including us here in Canada. But the reason why, now, yes, they do technically phrase it and almost give the impression, right, that like slavery never happened in certain places. So, for example, in Canada, right, we learned about the Underground Railroad. We learned about slavery in America. Now, no one said that there was never any slavery in Canada, right? It was just implied by the fact that Canada was the safe haven, right? We were the last stop on the Underground Railroad for the American slaves to escape the slavery. So the implication then is that, well, obviously we didn't have slavery, obviously, right? Now, obviously that's not true. And, you know, obviously, again, since British rule, transatlantic slave trade, hey, Britain, Canada, everyone in the Commonwealth, in America, right? Like this is where we're all of the islands, in the Caribbean, in the world, right? And the thing is the reason why it's taught the way that it is because when Britain, outlawed slavery, right? When they said, okay, it's not a good look, we ain't gonna do this anymore. Those animals are actually people. Who knew, right? When they did that, everyone else, all the other countries said, man, that's gonna suck. But you know what? Cool. Let's stop. Let's stop this shenanigans. Do you know who didn't? America. America did it. And that's why America has to hold that L like they were the only ones. Because basically the world, including America, had to go to war against America to get America to comply. Right? I mean, like it's a little bit insane. So I think that, and then even when they lost, the South lost the war, then what happened? Why do we have Juneteenth again? Oh wait, is it because they just continued slavery anyway, even though they lost? Never mind the concentration camp like setup that they did to tens of thousands of what were supposed to be freed black slaves, right? Where they
Don't
just
tell
put them
Pearl
into...
that Pearl said they went back because they was happy with their oppressor.
Right. Do you see what I'm saying? And to be fair, I had to listen.
Why
I'll
she
give Pearl that
oppressors?
point.
Why she
No, I'm gonna give her
oppressed?
the point. I'll give her the point.
Oh.
I'll give her the point because there were a very, very small minority, right, of black people who were helped, who were cared about, and who had a good relationship with the oppressor, i.e. white people, right? Including their own owners. There were not a lot, there were white people who would purchase, i.e., own Black people to free them from slavery, but didn't release them because they couldn't. Because at the time, it's like Black people weren't people. So these things did happen, but it was such a minute fraction, right? Like, it's such a minute fraction. It's ridiculous to talk about it like that was the thing.
Lewis
It
Howard
wasn't
had that
the thing.
situation where he ran away because they were trying to slave his family, and this family from Boston kept him out. He was from Virginia. He ran away. They got away because they earned their right to get away, which is how slavery was done for years until, of course, this is why America get the worst rap too. Most other countries, when you worked off your debt, you was get off. America like, nah, fam, y'all ain't never getting off. By the way, it's kind of it happens in several ways now. By the way, if you own a chicken plant, for people that don't know how chicken plants work, they will actually make you buy equipment and put it in your contract where you have to buy the equipment, or you consider outdated, where you continue to have to work for them for the rest of your life for even less pay than you were supposed to get. But since you owe us money because we paid for this equipment for you that costs $120,000, you have to stay working with us till you pay it off. It's nowhere near the same, by the way. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying America finds ways to cheat you.
Well, no, but they did it on purpose, right? Yeah. And that's why when we talk, they can sit there and whitewash history and say that we were indentured servants, because the Irish were indentured servants at that time, right? And they were doing the same stuff, living in the same slave quarters and whatever, but they got to earn, first of all, way more than the Black folk were, right? I mean, and when I say earn, I don't mean like in your hand, I mean towards your debt. They earned a lot more per day. And then once they had worked their 3 months or 3 years or whatever it was, right? They purchased their freedom. Now, not only did they purchase their freedom from not having to do all of this over here, right? But they also got themselves a little seed land, a little seed money. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's in here. Here's a life you can go start now, right? Because like, we have to recognize the difference. Whereas in Black people, we're told that they'd be able to buy their freedom. Some, again, minute amount.
Some Mandingos did too. When they have Mandingo fight, they be in a fight and then they win because they won the money off some debt.
But it doesn't matter because you couldn't. The large majority, you couldn't earn your freedom, right? Because they would just point out something else that you owed, or they would say, "Cool, no problem, you can earn your freedom, but hey, your kid." Well, now your kid is going to have to pay the price for us losing you or something, or your wife or whoever, right? And then so men would work their entire lives to try to free their mom, their wives, all their kids, whatever, and say, listen, I'll stay in slavery. I'll stay. Just let me get them out. Nope. And that was the majority. That was the majority of the time. So let's not get it twisted. Like,
by the way, they pretend like slavery. I'm gonna tell you about sharecropper. My father was a sharecropper. One day I'm gonna go to my auntie house. I don't know if she still got it because she did pass, but I don't know if my cousin still got it. But I'm gonna show them that check that they got. They say y'all worked this whole summer. I mean this whole spring. Y'all made 25 cents because y'all owe us. Y'all made this much, but y'all owed us this much, so y'all made 25 cents. I'm like, how did we owe you? We just picked cotton. Like, you didn't give us nothing. And I was like, so one day I'm gonna show you. It was my father. My uncle, he light skinned, so he kicked over the bucket. So he ain't doing this. He was, but that was closer to he was the baby, so he was closer to the 60s, and it was kind of, you couldn't just go crazy toward that time because civil rights would happen. So it was very interesting. He was born at the right time, and my dad like, hey. He was born 10 years earlier. That wouldn't fly, kicking over that bugs. I ain't doing it. But yeah, sharecropping is the stories they tell. I wrote it in my book, Inherited. Some of the stories they told me. I didn't write it directly because it's a fantasy about kids from now going into the past. But I wrote some stories they told me about what they did and how interesting it happened. Let's continue.
That's right.
Why is that?
Because of education.
You mean lack of education?
I do, yes.
Another British family with historical links to slavery is the royal family. Historians say it's impossible to calculate exactly how much wealth the monarchy generated from human trafficking, but some kings and queens were directly involved. Buckingham Palace announced this month that it's cooperating with an independent investigation into the monarchy's connections to slavery. King Charles and Prince William have both expressed their sadness.
The appalling atrocity of slavery forever stains our history. I want to express my profound sorrow.
But they've stopped short of an apology. An official visit to Jamaica last year by William and Kate drew demonstrations demanding reparations and criticism that it looked like a throwback to colonialism. The Earl...
Yeah, that picture was crazy. I don't know who told y'all to do this optic of me in like a military colonialized military gear running out the top of the truck waving at like black people in Jamaica is a wild optic. That's a wild optic.
Is related to the royals, a great-grandson of King George V and a second cousin of King Charles. Should they be leading the way?
We should all be doing more, shouldn't we? You can never do enough, and it's not something that's ever going to go away.
If you could talk to King Charles directly about this issue, what would you say to him?
It's a bit late in the day, so I think some spearheading to get us ahead of where we should be rather than behind.
Joe Williams and the Earl of Harewood have actually worked together on projects to educate the British public about this country's historical involvement in slavery. And now the Earl is adding to his art collection, commissioning new portraits of Black British community leaders to hang beside his ancestors. Gail.
All right, that's a